All right, another episode of Underrated. This is Kendéll Lenice. All right, so who are we talking about this week? If you watched last episode, you know exactly where I'm going with this episode. Now, just a little background before I get started. So, Black Music Month, I decided to focus underrated on groups, girl groups of the 90s. Black Music Month is over. Well, technically, but not really, right? And I said I was going to spotlight a girl group again and keep the party going with groups. This will be the last girl groups, and then I'll get into male groups. All right, this week, no other than Sisters with Voices. What does that stand for? Who am I talking about? Let's find out on this week's episode of Under. Three lovely ladies of SWV: Cheryl Gamble, Tamara Johnson, and Leanne Lyons. So, Cheryl is Coko, Tamara is Taj, and Lily is Leanne. So who doesn't love SWV? Underrated is a show where we give our artists their flowers and let them know how much we appreciate them and what they have done to music, Black music. They have put their stamp in the game, and it lasts forever. All right, let's talk about SWV. Although I've experienced SWV in real time, I love reading to see what they say about SWV. And now SWV is on everyone's lips because they did the show with Escape and SWV. They talked about SWV and how they're dressed when they perform and how they still are in the 90s and how they're wearing their overalls and their sneakers. Honey, they got with celebrity stylist who I love, Jay Bolin. Loved him since the beginning. And honey, hair, makeup, clothing. Oh, you better step correct when you come to SWV because they are truly getting their flowers now. And I love to see that. I love to see people in the game that are now getting their flowers, the flowers that they deserve. All right, let's see what they say. Sisters with Voices, an American R&B vocal trio from New York, whose members, Coko, Taj, and Lily, formed in 1988 as a gospel group. Lily started this group, y'all. SWV became one of the most successful R&B groups of the 90s. They have had a series of hits like Weak, Right Here, Human Nature Remix, I'm So Into You, man. When that song came out in that video, but that's a whole nother story. You're the one for me. Boom, 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 boom. The group disbanded, it says, in 1998 to pursue solo projects. Reunited in 2005, SWV has sold more than 25 million records worldwide, making them one of the best-selling girl groups of all time. Let's get into SWV's music, okay? Before we get into the music, I want to talk about this because Tasha put something out recently, and a lot of people didn't know that SWV originally was a four-member group. Because when they came out, we know them as Taj, Lily, and Coko. But even on here, the fourth member's name was Samantha. I wonder where Samantha is now. That's who they shopped the demo with, and that's who they thought that they would have. They thought that they would have a four-member group. I'm not sure what happened, but when they rolled out and all the press and all of the photography and the promotion, there were three members standing. All right, now on to the music. All right, y'all. In 1992, October 27th, It's About Time debuted. That's the debut studio album from SWV, which was released on RCA. Man, the first single Right Here was released fall of 1992, and it reached number 13 on the R&B charts. Their second single, I'm So Into You, peaked at number 2 on the R&B chart and reached number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Right Here, Human Nature, the fourth single, and the remix of their first single, Right Here, features samples from Michael Jackson's Human Nature. And y'all remember the video when they had the white on and the jeans and they were on the horse. Y'all remember that. And let's just talk about natural hair for a moment. SWV was one of the groups that had their natural hair. They didn't have weaves, wigs, none of that. They came with their flat, pressed, wrapped hair. Now they call it silk pressed. They might have had permed hair back then, not sure, straightening comb, but it was laid. And back in the day, that's how we wore our hair. We wore our hair wrapped. And that's how theirs was for a very long time. That was also the album with Downtown, Gotta Go Downtown, and You're Always on My Mind. So Downtown was number 2, went to number 2, and You're Always on My Mind went to number 8. The album peaked at 8 on the US Billboard 200s following the success of their first album. SWV appeared on the soundtrack of Above the Rim, which is in 1994 with my boy Dwayne Martin, and that's when they had that remix with the Woo for Anything. Y'all remember that? And I remember when that video came out, I was obsessed with that video, with a lot of their videos, right? But SWV, I just remember their outfits, their hair. I remember them being in the locker room in the video, and I just remember Taj's hair was just moving. And I was just like, wow, they did that thing. Their hair was always a thing. But I just remember, I think from my memory, if Taj had just gotten her hair colored, and I remember the bang was just banging, and I was just like, wow. And that was the remix. So a lot of people don't even know that Anything is a remix on that, because Anything was slow on the album, and then that was the remix when Above the Rim came out in 1994. So that single right there reached number 18 on the Hot 100s in the spring of 1994. The same year, SWV released remixes. And then in 1995, they were singing the song All Night Long, which appeared on Wait Until Exhale's original soundtrack. And you know that was huge back then to be on Wait Until Exhale's soundtrack, because all the women in the industry wanted to be on that. We had Whitney Houston, Faith, Brandy, Shantae Moore, SWV, Mary J. Blige. You know, so many women were on that soundtrack, and SWV was included in that also. All right, let's go into studio albums. So SWV had 6 studio albums, 1992, 1996, New Beginning. Y'all remember that cover? I do, because I had the cassette tape, I had the CD of that, and I remember them on that cover. Release Some Tension in 1997, A Special Christmas album that came out in 1997. I Missed Us in 2012, and then Still with 2016, and I still bought that one. That was with Co-Sign on it. Have been nominated for American Music Awards, all kind of Billboard Music Awards. They've been nominated for Grammys, Soul Train Awards, and they finally won a Soul Train Award after all of that time in 2017. So they had been nominated pretty much since they came out the gate. But the first time that they have won anything, and I remember Coko during their acceptance speech, but in 2017 they won Soul Train Awards, Soul Train Lady of Soul Award. And that was the first time that they had won something all of this time. So when we talk about underrated and we talk about girl groups, and SWV is loved by so many different people when it comes to girl groups, men and women alike. Everybody loves SWV. I've never been anyone to say, I don't like them girls from SWV. I'm not talking about personalities and what you may think here or there or what you may see. I'm talking about the music. And for them to not have been recognized for so many years, coming out in 1992. I remember when they came out, and now it is 2023. And in 2017 was the first time that they were acknowledged. Yes, they broke up for a little bit in the middle. If you watch any of the reality shows, you know, and Coko was going through her own thing, and Taj was going through her thing, married to Eddie George, not going through a thing together then, but I'm saying as far as going through life, losing both her parents as a teenager, just trying to navigate through life, getting married, having kids. Coko got married, had kids, and she, you know, had her baby before they got married, before she got married. She had her child by Jazz from Diggable Planets, her oldest son, and then she had another child. And then at a young age, Lily was a parent. She was the first parent of the group. And then Taja got married to Eddie George, and she got a bonus child out of that. And then she had a child with him. So they were being moms, parents, wives, trying to figure it out. Coko talks about her suffering through, you know, mental health issues and challenges, which now she talks about very openly and courageously, which is amazing. And I just think that these women have grown into women, right? You know, right, wrong, or indifferent, whatever it is with what you see on social media or reality shows, because SWV has been a part of 3 reality shows. The first one, when they were trying to get back together, a lot of those clips are recirculating around social media when they weren't getting along. And, you know, Taj voiced her opinion on what she thought was happening and how they thought Coko broke up the group, and Coko felt like nobody cared about her, and Lily always was in the middle, and they were trying to get past what they needed to do. And they really have. Then they had and you can see the cohesiveness of the group in the women. They didn't have that back in the day, from what the ladies say, but then they developed into that and really being sisters. And that was that first reality show. They got all the pretty much junk out the way, right, with them. And then they had the second reality show with Salt and Pepper, similar to the one that we just saw with Escape, when they wanted to tour together and they started doing it with a reality show. And you got to see personalities there and about the music there. And even then, I remember Coko feeling like people were still sleeping on SWV. Like, do they know we're SWV too? You know, we got, you know, a tour date with Tony Braxton. Like, we're doing it. And she always thought that they thought that, especially Coko, that people slept on SWV. Then we saw this new one where the controversy was out about the clothes and the performance and who should have headliner. And then again, they were like, but people are forgetting about SWV. Well, people saw that and they're like, we're not forgetting about SWV. You have made a huge contribution. We love y'all. And then after that reality show, the last one that we just saw, man, one appearance after the next appearance, and they started getting streets in their neighborhoods. Coko and Lily are from the Bronx, and I believe Taj is from Brooklyn. And even in the Bronx, they had a street recently named after them. And I thought that that was special, and Taj was holding them down. Everybody's like, okay, Taj, you're next. But I wanted to talk about some of the tours. I've had the pleasure of seeing SWV twice. I saw them definitely on the Three Stripes tour with BBD and In Vogue. And I also saw them with, who was it? Maya, Faith Evans, somebody else. So I got a chance to see them twice in recent years. I didn't see them in the 90s and I didn't see them in the early 2000s, but I'm glad I got a chance to see the ladies. So we are talking about SWV, underrated. It's time for you to show them some love, give them some flowers, and let them know what your favorite SWV song is. Make sure you tag them, make sure you tell them that you saw this episode of Underrated, and we are celebrating Lily, Taj, and Coko, Sisters with Voices SWV. It's time to show them some love and continue to do so. And as always, what is your favorite SWV song? Let's talk about it in the comments. Drop your song in the comments. So who's up next week on Underrated? Who do you think it is? From the ladies to the men of the 90s, those 90s male groups. Up next, Shy. Who knows about Shy? That's up next week on Underrated. Underrated is a show that we give our flowers to those that I feel deserve their flowers and those who've made a permanent impact in Black music. Again, up next week, the group Shy. Promise, promise, promise that you'll never leave me lonely. Thank you for watching Underrated. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. This is Kendéll Lenice, the Remix Coach. God bless y'all. Peace.